G'day, Stu here from UAVfutures and welcome to another episode of Tech Tuesday, where every Tuesday we look at some new, interesting or just different technology in the FPV and drone racing worlds. So today what we're going to be looking at, this is the jumper radio or the multi-protocol radio, and the reason we're going to be having a quick squiz at this one is because usually we have to sort of pick one radio system, whether it be FreeSky, Spectrum, whatever people want to fly with. This bad boy, it can actually communicate with all our different receivers. So what we're going to do, we're going to quickly stick it on the bench, give it a quick squiz, and then I'm also going to take it out to the field and fly it around and tell you sort of how it goes. Anyway, enough rambling, let's stick it on the bench and get started with this Tech Tuesday episode. Alright. Alrighty, here it is on the bench for our Tech Tuesday quick squiz at the jumper, and look, we're going to be going through the menu. We will be taking it out, telling you how it feels in the field, all that sort of jazz, but let's go through some of the, I guess, the basic hardware on here. So look, it's a pretty small looking radio. If we stick it on the scales, you know, it feels kind of light as well, so let's stick it on the scales. It doesn't come with a battery, so we'll show you that part in a minute, but its weight, it's coming in at about 340 grams. So look, a really light radio we've got there. In terms of, I guess, the hardware or the switches and stuff around the outside, of course, you've got your two gimbals. Mine's in mode 2. A power switch, which is nice. You've got your little trims. Up here, you've just got some position switches. So that's a 3-position switch, 3-position, 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 and then 2 pots in the middle. So pretty basic setup, but I don't think you really need too much more for drone racing. But it is nice. You might need some of these bad boys if you're using some other models and that sort of stuff. And that might be sort of okay because that's what this is sort of going after, because it is that multi-protocol sort of radio. Now on the top, this is a pretty cool feature. You do have a detachable antenna, so if you want to put on a bigger antenna, you can actually do that. I think that's pretty nice. Flipping it over, you can see, look, there's nothing on the back, no USB access or anything like that. If we open it up and have a look at the battery component, this part was a little bit lacking. So you can see in here, you know, it just takes a 2S balance lead, kind of like the Tyrannus, but you're going to be very hard pressed to find a battery that fits in here nicely. Mine was a bit of a pain, so we have to sort of hold the battery to the back in the review, and it doesn't come with a battery, so that part's a bit annoying. What I'm going to do very briefly, so we can turn it on and have a look at the menu, I'm just going to plug in this random battery that I've got, a little micro 2S battery, excuse me. It's kind of a tight fit too when you're trying to plug this in. There we go. And then we're going to turn it on and have a look at the menu itself. Now it is worth mentioning, no JR module. I'm not expecting too much from this. It's pretty cheap radio, but at the same time it's facing some stiff competition because, the QX7, I think I'll leave a link down below. I've seen some of them for like $100, which is pretty much bang on the money. This thing's getting very close to it. This might offer more functionality in terms of the sort of things that it can reach, the models it combine to, but I don't understand the point of getting something like this when you can just get a good dedicated radio, especially if you're in drone racing. I think this is more useful to people with a lot of models. Anyway, let's turn it on and have a look. So there we go, loading it up. Now the menu, still going through here, setting it up, it is very easy. So I did like the menu. I'm going to zoom in a little bit on the screen. Alright, so if we go through here, look, it was really easy to navigate, and it took about 10 minutes to probably get it set up and get reading. So in here, what I do like, you've got your mixers, your model set up, all that sort of jazz. You can choose the way it binds, and that's probably the biggest thing right here. Now before we go out and fly this thing, there is one thing in the menu that I want to show you, and that's how you can go and how easy it is to bind up to different receivers of different brands. So if we go in here, look, there's my FreeSky X. That's actually what you have to use for S-Bus, because look, I've got one set up. But you just simply go through, there's a whole bunch of different styles, whole bunch of different things you can choose depending on what you want to bind up to. So there is a ton of different options in here. So that's the one strong feature of this radio. That's its selling point. If you've got a ton of models that require different types of sort of binding protocols and all that sort of jazz, this might be the radio for you. Anyway, that's sort of the Tech Tuesday look of it on the bench. What the important part is, I want to jump out, fly it around, and sort of give you some impressions on what this thing is like to fly with. So anyway, let's cut out to the field in 3, 2, 1. Rightio, out here in the field, about to try out the TS, whatever. We're about to try out this multi-protocol jumper radio. I'm not feeling too confident. Took a little bit of mucking around, sort of giving it a bit of a fiddle, but finally we've bound it up to my Chameleon. I've tried the fail-safe, but hopefully we don't get a real-life one, because otherwise I'm going to be a little bit upset, but let's see how it goes. Alright, let's try this arm switch. It does feel smaller, and the gimbals feel a little bit lighter. It feels a little bit like the Turnigy Evolution. Ooh, I do need to adjust the trims a little bit. See which way we're going. Can you do my roll, Lockie? Yep. To the right. We want to go more to the right. A bit more, like 4 times. A bit more. Stop. That's better. Thank you. Well look, it's better than I thought it was going to be. Let's see how we go for range. See if we can get a fail safe or something like that. See how far we can go out there. Okay, it seems all right. I reckon actually it's got a bit better range than the Turnigy Evolution, because I was starting to get some dropouts when I was flying that around. I feel like it is constantly pulling though, no matter how much we adjust that trim on the roll. For a first time radio though, I think there's better options out there, so I wouldn't say this one's suited for beginners. And it might be more suited for people with a lot of models. It doesn't feel bad or anything like that. I guess the menu is pretty easy to use as well. It doesn't feel anywhere near as nice as like the Tyrannus, the QX7 or the M9 gimbals, even just the base gimbals. It definitely feels like a cheap radio. Look, overall it's not a terrible radio. It might have been good like a few years ago. I love the multi-function of all the different protocols, all that sort of jazz. The reception seems fine. We're not getting any brownouts or anything like that. But would I get this one? I'm going to say no. Nowadays, I think you're much better suited just to get a Tyrannus or a good radio versus one that does all that other jazz. Maybe if you had a ton of different models, but for most pilots, I'm going to say, yeah, not really, give this one a miss. Anyway, what we should do, let's hand it over to Grumpy Trev and see what he thinks. Okie dokie, Trevor, we got the jumper radio. What do you reckon?
Well,
first impressions. You haven't really seen this, so I've just sort of thrown this surprise on you, so what do you reckon?
It's tiny, very tiny.
That battery's hanging out the bottom too, because it didn't come with a battery.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway. Do you know what's special about this one? Do you know anything about it?
It just says jump on it, looks like a toy.
Okay, yeah, okay, but it's like a multi-protocol radio, sort of bind to Free Sky, you know, Spectrum, whatever you want to sort of use to fly around with. So this will bind to any of them.
So how much is it?
About 80 bucks.
Yeah, feels alright, I guess.
Does it feel as nice as your Tyrannus?
No. It just feels, I don't know, it just feels a bit small, but we'll give it a go and see what it's like in the sky, which is
this one just here, that's but you got to flick it up, yeah.
Oh. Surprisingly, it's not bad. Well, I thought it'd be crap. There you go.
Well, you're going a fair way out there. Any brownouts or anything like that?
No, I just went around the trees and it's smooth. Look, I don't like the sticks, but you know, when you're flying with the really, you know, the nice gimbals that we've got, for 80 bucks, multi-protocol for someone that's starting off, this would be ideal because it wouldn't matter what they got.
What about though, would you recommend someone just to spend a bit more and get a Tyrannus or a QX7, which is only about 100 bucks, or would you say get this?
No, I'd get the QX7.
So who's this suited for then?
The suitability, look, that's a hard one really, because it's there's so many radios around. This might be multi-protocol, but look, if you don't want to spend a lot of money and you've got a lot of models, this is alright. The wife won't go crook at you. You only have to buy one radio and...
Your wife goes crook at you anyway. You're probably buying way too much stuff.
Yeah, well, no, she doesn't know what I got. I hope she doesn't watch this video. It's really okay. I'm pretty impressed. Whoops. Okay, something happened then.
What happened then?
It just fell out of the sky.
Like the black picture or just from the radio?
No, just from the radio, so I'll just see if I can rearm it.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm up again.
Oh, we're going again?
Yeah, that was like a fail-safe, so...
Alright, so we're a bit out there, so I don't know if you can see that flag way out there. You shouldn't be getting a fail-safe there.
No.
Wasn't right in front of us, but definitely that was far enough that it should still be well within signal.
Honestly, I really would prefer QX7.
Yep. What about this? Do you prefer this over the Turnigy Evolution?
A bit cumbersome to hold. It's a little bit too small. The Turnigy feels really nice. I mean, if they had better range, I'd probably be using that now. But
yeah, yep, I totally agree.
The Tyrannus just kills all these. But look, this is still nice. I mean, I can't say it's a piece because it's not. It's all right. But I would rather the QX7 for the money because it's not much more expensive.
Yep. Alright, well, I'm going to let you finish that pack, and thanks very much, Trev, for this Tech Tuesday little part. I know you're not usually in them, but I appreciate sort of jumping in, so thanks very much. Alrighty, so there it is. There's my Tech Tuesday. First look at the jumper multi-protocol radio, and do I think it does a good job at what it does? Yes, but probably would I recommend it for most pilots? Not really, not in this drone racing scene, because what we just want to run one radio that does things well. I really like the function, I like what it's going after, but I think you're much better off getting something like a QX7. I'll link those down below. I think something like that is a much better radio, just for this hobby anyway. If you're one of those people out there though that has tons of different models, you're going to be flying a lot of different stuff and a bunch of receivers that you've already bought, well, then something like this, you know, it might sort of fit your situation. Now look, it didn't feel horrible or anything like that, you know, so it does do its job well. I just think you're better off getting a much nicer quality radio like the Tyrannus. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that. Subscribe for more FPV related content. Drop some comments down below. What do you think about this? You know, what else do you want to see on Tech Tuesday? And as always, always, happy flying. Alrighty, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that video. Definitely subscribe if you're new to the channel and check out these videos. And I'm also going to leave a little link here to my Patreon page because I've got some fantastic Patreon supporters and I like to give back to them as well. So if you want to join the UAV Futures family, there's things like bonus Velcro straps, little bundles of FPV goodies and things like that that also get sent out. Anyway, happy flying.
The wife won't go crook at you. You only have to buy one radio and...
Your wife goes crook at you anyway. You're probably buying way too much stuff.